Well, hey, everybody. It's me, B Double. It's GB Gerard Bonner, and we're trying something new here, something we haven't done thus far since we started the podcast. And the podcast, of course, SHW, This Is Our Wrestling, the official SHW podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk after the interviews are over. We continue talking to our guests, and sometimes it just happens to go and go and go, and you get more interesting stuff that you wish you could have put on the podcast. And such is the case with this week's guest, which was Corey Tatum from Wrestling Snapshots. So what are we going to call this, Gerard? What are we?
I think an opposite name would be SHW Dark.
So, yeah, much like how you have the dark matches at a wrestling show that's either before or after the live show. Well, this would be like the dark podcast that happened after this week's episode. So we'll call it SHW Dark.
I like it.
Yeah, so we had a lot more conversation with Corey Tatum that happened after the main interview. So here you go. Enjoy this bonus episode of SHW Dark here. Check it out.
Yeah. And everything else, and man, I can talk to you guys all day.
Well, that's what I know. That's what I was telling Gerard. I was like, well, we got to keep it to some sort of time limit here, but otherwise, I mean, we could have like a 3-hour Joe Rogan podcast here of nothing but Corey Tatum.
So
man,
good.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I didn't get a chance to say it, was, one of the things that I learned so much that I didn't know was really, really important was lighting.
Yes.
And, you don't really understand that the camera doesn't exactly see what your eye sees.
Right.
And that's something that I had to learn from the very beginning, was that you need really good light to pull off some of these phenomenal shots that I've taken.
Yeah. And
you don't know what you're going to run into no matter what show that you show up for. So a lot of times what I do is I study the show before I actually get called up for it.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
I'll pay attention to see what Ring of Honor setup is like, what Impact setup is like, what SHW setup is like. Well, SHW was different because I didn't know. I was there for day one, so
yeah,
I didn't know what their setup was going to be like. But I asked Dylan a couple of questions before it started. I was like, hey, do you have lights? Do you have blah, 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 whatever. And so that helps me determine how I approach the event and what I need to bring and this and the other. And not only just events, but also my promo shoots that I do.
Yeah.
That's been elevated, since I started. I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. And I'm just looking at what other people are doing. And I'm like, I think they maybe have this $100 light over here. Yeah, this will be fine. And, this is not my shoot job. This is not something I'm paying the bill. So I can't use all that money.
Right.
Wifey's going to get me,
Right.
So
right.
I got a budget. So, So, it's really important to make sure that you pay attention to light and see how light actually works, where it comes from, and how it affects the subject. And so I was going to say that anybody who is inspiring to become a wrestling photographer or an event photographer, that's one of the things you really should invest in is some lights, and then also the theory of light and how it actually works.
Yeah.
It's extremely, extremely important. So, I was going to say that. But.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As you can tell, I've got a light right here. I pulled this light out of my promo shoot. It was like, good lighting.
You mentioned that, and I go back and I watch the last show, the video of the last show, and I mentioned the picture of Gerard and I with Danny at the commentary table when she's about to sit down with us, and we're making the goofy faces. So you could see that on video, that moment as it happens. But it's just crazy to me how you have your flashes set up. Because in the moment when you're watching it on video, you see the flash like super fast. But on the video, it's so much darker on that particular moment. And then that picture, though, is like the perfect lighting. Like, it's crazy how that one quick flash and that instant you caught that moment and it looks perfect. But on video, you don't even see it that way. It's just crazy how you – and like you said, you figured it out, how to set those flashes in there.
Yeah, it's funny. You can't really be taught that. It's one of the things where it's kind of experimental at certain times. Just figure it out. You never want to do it at a really big show. You want to try it out certain areas first. And when I started doing that, I really felt like I wanted to get permission from Dylan, of course, because I don't want. The other problem is that I want to make sure I'm not interrupting anything. I want to make sure the wrestlers are not affected by it.
Right.
I want to make sure the fans are not affected by it. I need to be invisible at all times, myself along with my equipment. So, that was a moment that I just had to try and figure out, how can I bounce this light everywhere and get full illumination of everything? Fans, you guys, the wrestlers, the stage, all of that stuff. And so, I think I've got it down now, how I like it at SHW, make it look really, really good. I still have some ideas in my head, things that I want to improve even more, but I think we're good for right now.
Well, like we said, like, you're always going to be the one that's going, oh, that could be better. That could be better. That could look better. But I mean, I'm telling you, from the other side, from a fan's perspective, man,
it looks amazing.
I was dead honest, man. When after the shows, like the next day or that Sunday, I'm always excited to see the video, just to hear how we sounded. And I know the video is going to look great. But I'm always excited to see the 200 photos or however many it's going to be. And so I'm always like looking out for it on the SHW page. Like, did they post the photos yet? Gotta see.
Because you catch things that we don't see, we're in the moment and we're paying attention, but there are certain perspectives and things that you see that we completely miss that you going back to catch gives a really full synopsis of what the show looked and felt like, man. So you really do an amazing job with that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's just, like I said, I went from getting every single shot where I was like, I have to take pictures of everything. And then I have to post every single picture that I have. No.
Right,
it's just like editing. It's just like I do with my regular career. I need to be able to tell a good story. I need to be able to showcase what this is all about. And so that's when you start playing with your thoughts, and you're like, this is what you do. This is how many you need to take. This is how you present it. So, that's just one of the things I just had to figure out, But I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. And there are moments that I don't get it.
I understand.
There are moments that I don't get it, and I kick myself so hard. I'm like, But there's a thing in wrestling photography called I think it's called sniping, something like that. Can't remember the term exactly, but it's when you take pictures and you immediately do that. And I was notorious for doing that when I first started. That is a no, because there's several things that happen. One, you miss what's happening next because you're too busy doing this.
Right.
Two, you can get hit if you're doing this. I've been hit several times when I was doing this.
Wow.
And three, this is key. If you didn't get the shot, are you going to tell them to do it again?
Right.
They're not going to do it again.
Right.
You can't say, oh, I didn't get the shot. Can you do that tope suicida again?
Yeah.
Can you kick him in the face again? No.
Not unless it's Edge and Randy Orton and they're doing multiple takes for the greatest match ever.
Right.
There are no do-overs. There are no do-overs. So
that's right.
There's no point in you sitting there looking to see if you got the shot.
Wow.
Because, what can you do about it? You can't do anything about it. So, I got kicked in the face, or not kicked in the face. I got hit by Tommaso Ciampa.
Wow.
Back in 2016, where he would set the guy up in a chair, and then he would start his clap. Everybody get on sync with him, and he would run around the ring at least once, maybe twice, to get full speed, and then kick the person who's in the chair. I didn't know he did this, and so he put somebody in the chair. I don't remember exactly who it was, and I had my camera ready to go. I'm like, okay, he's going to chop him. Okay, all right, let's get ready for the chop. And I'm looking like this, and I happen to look down to see if I have my settings right. He turns around, full force, ready to do his run straight into my camera.
Oh, wow.
And my camera goes bang like that.
Oh.
And I have that shot.
Oh, wow.
When he hit me, my hand hit the shutter at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And I have that shot. He's like this close to the camera, blurred as all get out.
Yeah.
Where he hit me.
Did you have your glasses on at the time?
No, that was another thing I had to learn, how to adjust my camera lens so that it fits, so I can actually see the viewfinder.
Wow.
No,
I was gonna say your glasses right into your eyeball.
Yeah. No, I didn't have my glasses on, thank God. But
wow.
Yeah, I've had that happen. I had somebody do a tope suicida, and I didn't see him coming. A couple other things like that. So that is a no. You do not look at the photo after you take it.
Corey, I tell you what, this is going to be. I'm going to save some of this. We'll make on our YouTube channel. This will be like a bonus.
A bonus,
yeah.
Okay.
So a little bit of bonus with Corey Tatum here, because that Tommaso Ciampa story is a good story. I was like,
that's a very good story.
Tommaso Ciampa, man, but yeah, I mean, you just don't do that, you know. That's definitely a no. And there's just little things like that people don't tell you.
Yeah.
You know,
you just have to figure it out on your own.
You got to figure it out on your own. There's no book, you know, that tells you those things. If you're shadowing somebody, of course somebody might tell you that, but they may forget, and then the next thing you know, you've done it, and you know that's it. So,
but when it happens, you know, like you'll know after that, like won't do that again.
Hey, that's touching that hot stove that your mama told you not to touch.
Right.
That's what that is.
Yep.
Don't touch
Never forget that.
Get burned one time.
I told you.
That's all you need. Once.
Exactly.
I told you.
That's exactly right. You get burned one time, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's great stuff, man. It's great stuff.
Well, this was a fun one because, like I said, to this point, with the exception of Gary, to this point, we've had all the wrestlers on. So it's neat to get a different perspective and a different mind in here to kind of give us your take on being at shows and how you do things. So it's kind of a neat departure from what we normally do. I thought this was a really cool one.
It's funny because I often ask to the promoters every time that I shoot something, even if I've shot for them for a couple of times, I always go, what can I do better? What is it something that I'm shooting that you don't want me to shoot anymore?
Yeah.
Or that you'd like me to get that I haven't been getting before? And I had Mucha Lucha tell me a couple of times they wanted me to shoot some more of the crowd. So I was like, okay, I got that. You know, they have a lot of sponsors, so they wanted me to shoot a lot of the sponsors, which was important. And I didn't think that, I don't know why I didn't think that was as important. And then, you know, Dylan has said a couple of times, hey, get some behind the scenes photos, get some of the audio people, get some of the workers and stuff like that. I actually even have an idea of something I want to do for SHW. Once this whole thing lifts, maybe I can try and pull it off. We'll see. Yeah. So, you know, my question to you guys is there something that you haven't seen me do that you would like to see me do? Or something that I'm doing currently that you wouldn't want me to do anymore? Is there anything that stands out to you, or a moment that you were?
We brag on you so much all the time. Like there's nothing. Everything you do, we are always bragging on. So I don't think there's anything that we don't want you doing. Whatever you do, is great.
Well, I appreciate that because you guys are one of my biggest promoters, I would say, of my products. I really appreciate that. You know,
absolutely.
I have some. You know, there's so many times, and this would get me down sometimes, is that there were so many times I'd take a picture and somebody would post it on their page and they would either crop out my logo or they would not give me credit. And I'm like, you paid nothing for that photo.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't ask you for a dime for that photo. All you have to do is just give me credit. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Yeah. So it got to a point where for a while it was getting on my nerves. And for a while I was like, am I not good enough to get this credit? And then I thought, well, 50,000 people saw this picture or whatever. It's good. It's a good photo. And just because this one person doesn't want to give you credit, but then all these other people do, it's okay. It's totally okay. You know what a good job you did. Right. I know that the promoter paid me. I got paid for, you know, this product. So it's all right. You know, and that's one of the things people need to learn too whenever they take pictures is that you're not always going to get credit. You're not always going to get credit. But when you do, just be thankful for the credit that you got. And so I'm thankful that you guys promote me as much as you do.
Absolutely.
And I'm thankful that, you know, all the other wrestlers and stuff do the exact same thing. You know, it just helps me get better.
Absolutely, dude. And not only are we buddies in real life, so it's like, why would I not promote your stuff? I mean, you promote the podcasts and everything all the time. So absolutely, man. It goes without question. We always talk how great your photos are. And like I said, talk about how I get excited to see the day after the shows, man. So yeah, absolutely, man. We love, and you gave us permission too to share them for this podcast specifically to promote each episode. And
no problem.
Yeah, make sure we always tag you in those too, man, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't really ask for much, you know.
That's the least we could do, for sure. Yeah.
What did they say? Hot dog and a handshake? I'd be the hot dog and a credit. Can I get hot dog and a credit?
Yeah.
I'll need a handshake. Give me a credit.
Yeah.
You know?
I love
Speaking of which, they keep running out of hot dogs at the end of the shows. I'm like, early on in the SHW, like every now and then, Daryl and I might still get a hot dog, and that kind of slowly stopped. I think they were starting to run out of hot dogs. I was like, what happened to my hot dog?
Yeah. I find out that I gotta eat like either before I get there, I'll stop on the way, or I make sure that I'm the first one in line as soon as the show starts.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm not gonna eat for another couple hours.
Exactly.
There's nothing open at 11 o'clock at night, probably.
That's what I was gonna say. On the drive home, there's not much open. You don't have much choices. But I was gonna say my thing is I've always got to have some bottled water, and I learned that after the very first show. And if you recall when DDP showed up, you talk about not knowing what's going to happen. So DDP at the first show, I had no clue he was going to be there until he was there. Well, actually, I forget what match it was. Something was happening, and they hit his video like way early. And it was I might not even been during some segment prior or something. But I think I even said something like, "What? No way, he's not here, is he?" And then like they accidentally, Garrett or whoever was in the booth, like had accidentally hit it and only played for like 2 seconds.
Wow.
Then we just went back to whatever the match was. And then I'm just thinking like, why did they have that queued up? You know, but it didn't really click too much. And then a little later on, he came out, and Gerard, I don't know if you ever watched the first show or not, but he came out and he actually presented the SHW title for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And so before like the big 5-man title match. And he was the one that brought it out to the ring. But anyways, I was like kind of like the Jericho Kenny Omega moment where you can like hear the moment where my voice blew out, like when I'm freaking out because DDP's there. And the next day, and this has happened at numerous SHW shows where I'm hoarse for like the next 2 days. But that's the thing, I've got to have some bottled water there, or else I'm going to be coughing or just be raspy the whole time. But
because we use our voices a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have to have a lot of bottled water too because I'm on my knees and I'm running around and up and down all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know how important that was for me to stay hydrated until I started getting cramps. So like I'd be in the middle of a show and then I'd get like a thigh cramp or a leg cramp or something.
Ouch.
And I'm like, what?
I can't get out.
God, this can't. And so and I have to kind of play it off because I don't want people to think something's wrong and pay attention to me and not pay attention to what's going on in the show.
Right.
Man, I've had some moments where I've just gone over to the corner and just kind of chilled out for a minute. I'm like, come on, leg, you got to get that leg going, you know? And so I'll go and get a couple of bottles of water now before the show starts and guzzle some of those. And I have some fans who will often ask me if they, you know, if I need a bottle of water during the show, and they'll bring me a bottle of water or something. Lisa Despain and Chris Despain and a couple of my other friends, you know, they'll always keep me hydrated during the show. And I'm like, they don't have to do that, but I guess they understand how important it is for me to stay hydrated as well. So getting all that stuff before the show is very important. Very important.
Definitely.
All you photographers out there, remember that too. Stay hydrated.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you earlier. Well, we didn't have to talk about it during the show, but I was going to tell you, Corey, when Gerard mentioned that he is somewhat of a photographer as well. I never knew this until he started telling me that he was at WrestleMania 25, and during the Undertaker Shawn Michaels match, that if you look, that he is in the second row. So as soon as we recorded that podcast, I got done and I turned on the network and I pulled up WrestleMania 25 and went right to that match. And I texted him or something. He goes, "I'm the guy with the camera." And I'm like, I'm like, well, and at first I thought you were just kidding because I'm like, sure, everybody there has a camera. And then I go to that match and I go to watch the match, and clear as day in the second row, it's like a big, nice, it's not like his cell phone camera. I mean, this is like the real deal camera. And so now, you know, if you ever go back and watch that match on the network, GB is like there the whole time. He's constantly up and down, and he's cheering. I believe you were rooting for Shawn Michaels during that match.
I was actually,
because I remember like you would like he would kick out or so, or Undertaker would kick out, and you'd be like, "Oh, come on.
Yeah.
But I just remember seeing you constantly taking those pictures, and I meant to ask you, and I hadn't done it yet. But where are those online anywhere?
I had posted them on Facebook a while back, but I know I still have them. I might shoot a couple of them to you.
Okay.
But
because as you were taking them, and I saw like you were using like a big, nice camera, so I was like, those have got to be some pretty good pictures.
I caught some pretty decent shots.
You're in the second row, like you're right there.
Yeah.
So I was just curious where those ended up, because
I got some decent shots.
The same, and on that same note, when I told you I was in the front row at Backlash behind the announce table, in 2007, I believe it was, I had a little digital camera and I took a ton of pictures. The problem is, I went to find them. I was like, where did those end up? Well, they ended up on my MySpace page at the time, and MySpace is there, but I can't log in because it's some old ass email address.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out how to log in, and because I can't log in, I can't look at the photos. And so I have all those great photos, because I was literally like, I could have grabbed Undertaker's ankles when he was on the barricade, like right in front of me, like snapping all these pictures, and jumps through the table, and it's right there. And I'm like, I can't find those pictures.
Wow.
Wow. Do you remember what camera you were using, JB?
I have it was a Sony, I think it was an A100. I have to go back and double check that. Yeah, it's an older camera. But it caught some really cool shots. Yeah. It caught some really cool shots.
Do you still have them?
I do. Okay. As a matter of fact, let me see. I might have.
How did you get in there with that camera?
So this is the funny part, right?
Yeah, I meant to ask you that.
Because back in 2000, it was 2009 or so, they still were letting us in with our cameras. It was shortly after that they stopped doing it. And so when I would go to wrestling matches and take my camera, they'd be like, no, you can't bring it. And I'm like, so it's funny. It's like, that was like one of the last events that I was able to take my camera and really, because when I would go to WrestleManias, I had started going in 2006, I think. I did. My first Mania was 22 in Chicago. And back then, like I just had a small camera with me then. And then I got my bigger camera. So when I got to 2023, which was in Detroit, I had my camera for that one. And then for Orlando, but really the big one was when I was in Houston for that Mania. And I got pictures for sure. I don't know if I have them on my phone, but I know I have them on my computer. So I will.
Well, those are probably the best ones, because you weren't. You probably didn't have the close-up seats for all the other ones, did you?
Yeah, for 20, I got a couple of decent ones for the Orlando show. But I didn't have my big camera for those. I still have my small digital, but I still got some decent ones. I got a couple of pretty epic shots on that one of Batista. I remember that because he was standing in the corner. There's a really cool shot I have of him. There's a cool shot I have of Edge when he's coming down to the ring for his match against Taker that night. I got a cool shot of that. I have a cool shot of Taker sitting on the stairs after he's won the title. I'm gonna go find these. Now I feel like I gotta send them to you,
right?
Because it's just like, wow.
See, we were talking about this the other night or a few weeks ago, whatever it was, and that's why I got so upset, because I knew I had all these pictures from Backlash 07, and I can't find them anywhere, and I'm almost positive that they're all on my MySpace page, which I can't access. I'm like,
oh my gosh,
there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way.
There's got to be a way. There's got to be.
Driving me nuts. But anyways, but if you go back and watch, that's the other one, Corey, that I was telling Gerard about. It's Backlash 07, and it's when the main event was Undertaker and Batista in the Last Man Standing match, and I'm directly behind. You may have seen the freeze frame that I took off the WWE Network. It's at the beginning of the show when Cole and JBL are doing their like intro to the show, and I'm directly in between them doing like to the camera, and the producer by the camera is like telling me to sit down, like out of the way. And but anyway, so during that whole show, we're like right behind the announcers the whole time, and at one point they use that announce table to he drops a leg through Batista through that announce table. So when he gets up on the barricade, he's literally right in front of me. Like I could grab his legs. He's like right here, and then he drops the leg off. And meanwhile, like I'm watching, but I've got this little small digital camera, so I'm like taking pictures too.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was like the best seat I've ever had. And so that's why I'm mad I can't find the pictures from it. But oh well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you can still see me all over that. If you go back and watch it on the network, like, hey, there I am. So
golly,
that's great.
Yeah.
And now that I've seen that WrestleMania 25 match, I don't know how many times before I ever met Gerard, and now that I have met him, and now
it's
that
hilarious now,
I can see, I'm like, oh, there he is.
Because all that time I didn't realize, like, all you see is my camera. It's just the camera. I'm like, Gerard.
But once I know that it's you, and like I started watching you like during the match, there were times like during pinfalls, like Undertaker would kick out, and you'd be like, ah, and I was like, oh, he must be rooting for HBK.
The ironic part is I wanted to see the streak end.
Right.
I wanted to be there for that, and I wanted to capture it. And I thought Shawn Michaels had the best chance of doing it.
Absolutely.
So, and of course, nobody knew that going into that match that it would be like the greatest WrestleMania match ever. But it was so incredible, and it was literally exhausting. It was just like nuts. The ironic part was I ended up being at WrestleMania 30 to see the streak end.
Yeah.
And of course, by 30, they weren't letting you have the cool cameras in. So I had literally bought some small digital camera that I could get in that I didn't like because I didn't like how it worked, and it just and you understand this, when you've gotten to like the bigger cameras, a small point and shoot just does not do it. It is not adequate at all. And man, so to be there for the streak,
unless you're real close.
Unless you're really exactly really close, because it's just like the irony of that and not being able to have my camera capture it was crazy. But
that happened to me when I was in it was when I went to New Orleans, when it was in New Orleans. And I wasn't at WrestleMania, but I was at the ROH Supercard of Honor show.
Yeah. Now, which one for WrestleMania 30 or 34?
That was 34.
Okay, because I was at the Supercard of Honor 34. For 32. Yeah.
Yeah, that was for 34, I believe. And I went to the Supercard of Honor, and I had already been shooting for Ring of Honor previously. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, they should let me in, no problem. Well, I can give them much for this. I know people.
Right.
Nope, did not happen. And so,
wow.
So I had my little small digital point and shoot, and I had that. And I got a couple of decent shots just because I was close enough, but it still didn't make up for the fact. I was like
frustrating.
But what I have to do is tell myself, I'm not a photographer today.
Right.
I'm a fan.
Right.
I'm a fan. But as long as I have whatever camera this is in my hand, even if it's my phone,
yes,
I gotta get a good shot.
Yes, absolutely.
Get a good shot. So,
absolutely, man.
That's tough, man. That is really
is
tough. I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I'm there with you.
Yeah. So, oh God.
All right. Well, August 28th. I hope it's still going to happen. It better happen. I just with all the now schools, a lot of schools are going like online only, and I'm like, it's making me a little nervous with the number of cases going back up. I'm like, I hope 28th is still on the card to happen here.
I hope so too.
Yeah,
but,
we shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. We got another month and a couple weeks here. So, but man, once again, like I said, man, this was awesome. This was I knew it was gonna be good. I told you if you just come on, we'll just chit chat like we do at the shows. And it's just.
I'm always nervous, man, all the time. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I've been shooting. I get nervous every show. Every show that I go to, I get nervous, and I'm like, "Am I going to do a good job today? Is my gear going to work? Am I not going to get hit? Is my leg going to cramp up?
I totally get that. Totally.
And the shows are on Fridays, so I've also worked that day.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm like,
So have we. So I'm already wore out and a lot of times I'll take the afternoon off if I can.
Yeah.
So I get there super early. Because I just like to be there to like set the table up and just kind of be there and be ready. So that way make sure everything works.
Right.
So like Gerard's not showing up and I'm like, it's not working. I don't know what to do. So I just like to have plenty of time to do all that. But man, you killed it on the podcast for sure.
Absolutely.
You talked about the other day, you're like, I don't know, I've never really done many podcasts, so I don't know.
You crushed it.
Not only did you have a full regular episode, now we've got like a full bonus episode. I'll put the bonus on the YouTube channel. And that'll be like the the special place where you can just get the bonus material will be on the YouTube channel.
So good.
Well, okay, if this is a special bonus, can I give a couple of shout outs to some people?
Absolutely, man.
Okay, people that, if you haven't been paying attention to these people, photographers, and I should have said this on the podcast, Speedy, number one, he's my mentor, best guy in the world, okay? Phenomenal photographer. John Moses, who shoots for NWA, and long history with John in North Carolina and stuff like that. John Moses, check out him. Mouse, who shoots for a lot of independents, Robert Bellamy, check him out. Mark Johnson, who's in California, you can check him out. He shot Mucha Lucha a couple times with me. Great guy. Oh God, now the names are not coming to my head anymore. But I definitely want to shout out those people. Oh man, there's one more guy I wanted to talk about. Sorry.
Well, while you're thinking of that, I got one that we probably should have shouted out. Well, we'll shout it out now. But TJ Burks, who fills in for
TJ.
you when you haven't been there a couple times, you've been on vacation, and he's come in and done a killer job too. I forget his assistant's name, but both of them show up and do a fantastic job as well. And I know he's always shooting all over Alabama, and he shoots video as well for a bunch of promotions. But so shout out to TJ Burks.
Basil.
There you go.
Shoots for Impact. Great guy. A lot of talent. Basil is phenomenal. He's even shot for AEW, I believe, a couple times.
Wow.
So Basil is awesome. There was one more. I was gonna mention. I'm trying to find his name. I know he's gonna be so angry with me. He's in the UK.
Well, while you're looking for that, Gerard, what did we decide we're gonna call these the bonus episodes? We'll call like SHW Dark.
Like that kind of makes sense, actually.
Instead of the dark match, it'll be like the dark podcast.
I love it.
That happened after the actual podcast.
Absolutely.
After we went out the air, but the tape machines were rolling.
They were still rolling.
As Tony Schiavone would say back in the day.
Absolutely.
Fans were out of time, but the tape machines were rolling.
Yes. So good.
So there you go. This has been the first episode, the first bonus episode of
which is
SHW
great.
Dark. So there you go.
There it is.
I can't think of him. I can't think of him.
What a way to end it. What a way to end it.
Sorry.
I'm
done. You're never calling me again. Sorry. You're out of here. You're done. You're never going to work in this call again.
Sorry. Oh, buddy. Man, well, thank you so much again.
Thank you, man.